In the previous lecture, we tested few APIs and the same are visible under the History tab of Swagger Hub Explore. Now let's try to understand how to generate the OpenAPI specification for the APIs that we have tested. For the same, I'm going to select all the APIs that I'm seeing under the history. Once you have selected, there'll be an option to add to a space. So let me click on this button and it will ask you what is the space name or the API name that you want to give. I'll give space name as demo and the API name also demo. You can give any name you want. After that, we can click on this add to space button. With that, all these APIs might have added to the space demo. We can also confirm that by going to the spaces option. And here you can see there is a space with the name demo created. Let me click on that. Under the demo, there is an API with the name demo created. If you can open this, you'll be able to see all the APIs that we have tested. As a next step, we can click on this option, which is export API to Swagger Hub. Because at the end of the day, all the OpenAPI specification that we are going to write, we need to store inside the Swagger Hub. Swagger Hub is like an GitHub repository for the OpenAPI specification document. So both the Swagger Hub Explore and Swagger Hub, they are tightly integrated. If you are developing your own OpenAPI specification, there is no need of using the Swagger Hub. You can directly store your OpenAPI specification inside your project source code or inside your organization GitHub repo. For now, since we are using Swagger Hub Explore, we have to use this option to export the API to the Swagger Hub. Let me click on this option and this will ask you few details about our API. The name we can keep it as demo and API version I'll keep it as 1.0 and the owner I'll keep it as Easy Bytes. And the visibility, we need to make sure we are selecting the public. If you try to use the private, you're going to get an error because we are under the trial version and we don't have enough privileges or enough credits to store our API specification as a private. In real projects, organizations, they don't want to expose their open APIs to everyone. That's why they're going to pay some money to the Swagger Hub and they're going to store their OpenAPI specification with the visibility of private. But here, since we are trying to learn and try to test the Swagger Hub Explore, visibility of public should be fine. Once the visibility is selected, I can click on this confirm button and this will give me a confirmation here on the top right corner that so-and-so OpenAPI specification is successfully exported to the Swagger Hub. And there is also an option view API definition on the Swagger Hub. You can click on this link or you can also navigate to the Swagger Hub using this Swagger Hub option. So here there is a Swagger Hub option. Let me click on that and you'll be able to see the OpenAPI specification just now we have generated here. If you're not able to see it, you can try to search it by selecting the options under these drop downs. As a next step, let me click on this demo, which will show me the details about all the APIs that we have tested. And here we have a hyperlink which will redirect you to the Swagger Hub. So let me click on this link and this will take me a Swagger Hub website where I can see the OpenAPI specification of all the APIs that we have tested. Here you can see all this text, whatever you are seeing in the YAML format, this is the OpenAPI specification. If we don't have this Swagger Hub Explore option, we should write all this OpenAPI specification with our own hands. But with the Swagger Hub Explorer, we are able to get some initial version of our APIs. And with this option, your fingers are going to love you because you are saving them from typing all these lengthy OpenAPI specification. You can see this is a Swagger editor where we can type all our OpenAPI specification. For example, instead of the element OpenAPI, if I simply mention API, it is going to throw an syntax error saying that so-and-so issue is there inside your OpenAPI specification. The same you can see on the right-hand side as well, which is the Swagger UI tool. Let me roll back to the previous value OpenAPI, and with that, you should be able to see a proper UI representation of your API documentation on the right hand side. So whatever you see on the right hand side, this is the representation of the Swagger UI tool, and whatever you see on the left hand side, this is the representation of the Swagger editor. If you give this OpenAPI specification to your consumers, they will be able to see all your API details with the help of Swagger UI like you can see on the right hand side. and it is very obvious. Reading the left hand side information is very tedious instead of reading the API information with the help of Swagger UI, which is on the right hand side. So you can see these are the server URLs which my consumers they can use to test, and there is no authorization that they need to pass because this authorization lock is open. And here is a list of APIs that is supported by an organization or by a team. If they want to know more details, they can click on the path, and that will show you what is the path, what is the parameter that it is going to support, what is the response they are going to get. Similarly, under the post API, if you can open, you can see this is the value that we sent. If you can click on the schema, it will show you what is the fields that they have to send, like name is a mandatory and name is of type string, and job is a mandatory and job is of type string, and they're going to get a response code as 200. This way, they can always explore these APIs and they can understand more details about your APIs without asking those questions manually or an email or over a meeting. So whatever version that you get from the Swagger Hub Explore, this can be an initial version for many organizations. This should be good for them. But this is not a 100% accurate OpenAPI specification documentation because this Explore has some limitations. It is only going to provide some basic information about your APIs. If your organization is good with that information, you can use this OpenAPI specification that is generated by the Explore tool. Otherwise, on top of this, you should enhance this OpenAPI specification documentation based upon your technical knowledge on the OpenAPI specification. We are going to discuss a lot about how to write a proper production-ready OpenAPI specification document throughout this course. With that knowledge, you should always look for enhancing your OpenAPI specification documentation so that it is 100% clear and accurate. I can highlight some limitations here that we have with this OpenAPI specification. One of the major limitation is when you test these planets API or any other get API with hard-coded values like 3, 9, 2, 1, all of them are being treated as a separate API here inside this OpenAPI specification, which means if you test these API planets API with 10 different hard-coded values like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all those APIs will be shown as different APIs here in this OpenAPI specification. Instead, we should try to show a single API with a generic path information along with the information like what kind of path variable they can send. So all such enhancements and touch-ups you can do before you try to deploy your OpenAPI specification for your real consumers. I know you may have so many questions like how to enhance this, what kind of enhancements I have to do. In order to really enhance your OpenAPI specification, first you need to understand how to define an OpenAPI specification from scratch. You should know what is the importance of each element like OpenAPI, info, servers, paths, parameters, responses, requests, request body. So all such details you should know, then only you should be in a position to enhance your OpenAPI specification. As a next step, we are going to explore the next approach, which is design first approach, which means we'll assume there are no APIs developed and we are still in the design discussions. And with that assumptions, we are going to write the OpenAPI specification from scratch. And in the same process, I'm going to teach you about each and every element that is supported by the OpenAPI specification along with its importance. Post that only, you should be able to enhance this initial version that is generated by the Swagger Hub Explore. But I'm assuming you are clear about what is Swagger Hub Explore. Using Swagger Hub Explore, we can test already available APIs and generate the OpenAPI specification very quickly. Whereas with the help of Swagger Hub, we can store all our OpenAPI specification in a centralized location for a better collaboration. You can see I can click on this create new option. I have so many options where I can create a new domain, new organization, new template, or I can import the OpenAPI specification from existing documentation. So using these options, organizations, they're going to create multiple teams and establish a collaborative environment for the developers to work on. For your future reference, I also mentioned all the details about the Swagger Hub and Swagger Hub Explore inside this slide. Please always refer them for any questions. I hope you are clear what to do whenever you are into the scenario of code first approach. Please don't write your OpenAPI specification from scratch. Your fingers are going to hate you because you're going to make them type a lot of OpenAPI specification documentation. Instead, please use Swagger Hub Explore, test your already deployed APIs, and with that, you're going to get an initial version of your OpenAPI, which you can use as a base version to get started about your OpenAPI specification. Before I try to close this lecture, I have a humble request here. Just like how I tested APIs with the help of Swagger Hub Explore, please try testing APIs from your side as well. Please check the history. Please try to generate the API definition for your tested APIs and validate them inside the Swagger Hub as well with the help of Swagger Editor and Swagger UI tool, because that is going to give some confidence about the Swagger tools. I'm super happy with the progress that we are making inside the course. I'm assuming you are enjoying the course. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the next lecture. Bye.